Hi, my name is Doug North. Today I'm going to be shooting a short video on how to make a fire saw using a bamboo stick and a knife. This is a video for my friend Tom, who asked for it back in the spring, and I'm finally getting around to trying to make a video. I don't have a lot of experience making videos, so bear with me. It's probably not going to be the best video you've ever seen, but it's the best I can do right now. So this is a friction fire technique using bamboo. I live in New England in the United States. Bamboo is not native. This was cut off of the bottom of a like a tiki torch that we bought at a dollar store. It's our local source of bamboo, I suppose. So what I love about this technique is how elegant it is. It requires basically just a knife and a piece of bamboo. And if you know the technique, that's all you need to make a fire. So I learned about it online, YouTube videos from, say, David West, who has a great channel, and some others who I don't recall. But let's get started, right? First thing we need to do is to split this length of bamboo. It's probably 16 inches, 14 inches long, right? So we need to divide this down the middle. I'm going to use my knife and a big old chunk of maple and just split it. There we go. Two pieces, they're not equal. We'll figure that out. They should be if you can manage it. This is probably, what, 1 1/8 inches in diameter. Bigger would be better because you got to use a fair amount of force to get this hot enough to create an ember. Let's see. So, winging it here. First, I think I'll use this as the hearth and this as the saw. We need to do we need to modify both pieces to get this to work. I think the first thing I'll do is to use the thicker, bigger piece and scrape it with my knife to create a lot of bamboo shavings that will serve to catch the ember as it's forming and to provide a really beautiful source of tinder to then blow the coal into a flame. So this is the boring part, but you got to do it. So I'm just scraping the surface back and forth, and as you hopefully can see, it's creating two sources of fine bamboo shavings on either end of the stroke. I'm going to take all that, add it to the tinder bundle pile that we made before. Lift up what I can from the ground here. Okay, is that enough? Still not really, but just to sort of save you from dying of boredom, we'll leave it at that for the moment. Okay, so now that we got the chores out of the way, we can begin making the fire saw. We need to modify the hearth, we need to modify the saw. Let's do the hearth first. So this is going to be held against my stomach, chest, sternum, and against something solid like this tree. First thing you need to do is to narrow this edge to make it a bit more blade-like, to reduce its thickness. Right now it's a little bit more than 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to use the knife and just trim that down. I'm also going to keep a couple of the nice long shavings, like that one. Set it aside. You'll see what that's for in a moment. That's called foreshadowing, sort of. I'm going to try to get this knuckle area thinner too. I probably won't use that spot, but just in case I do, I'll trim off a little on the inside, not worrying about that quite as much. It's harder to get to, and so shaving this down. How thick, do you ask? I've heard it described as a butter knife edge. I'd say a little thicker than that's okay, but basically fairly thin. Okay, I think that'll suffice. Let's see if we can get that to resolve on the camera. So now it's I don't know, 1/16 of an inch, something like that. And that's all we need to do to the hearth portion. Okay, so I'm going to be rubbing the saw along this edge that I prepared. Now let's modify the saw itself. So it's a piece that we're going to be holding like this and moving back and forth over the hearth. We need to create a hole in it, and then on the opposite side where the hole is, a groove, a notch. So I'm going to start with the hole, just so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to awkwardly do it against this tree. I'm going to rotate my knife to create a bit of a funnel-like depression in the inner surface of the bamboo here. So I'm just rotating it. I'll give you a close-up shot in a moment. And working my way toward the tip of the knife is going to be, just to give you an idea here. So I'm just spinning the blade around, making a funnel-like depression there. Eventually it'll poke through a little, and then I'll start making a notch on the opposite side. Just kind of working both sides. The funnel helps a little bit. What we're going to be doing is slowly creating dust, hot dust, from the friction of this reciprocating sawing motion. And this funnel sort of helps that dust come up through the piece of bamboo and pile up and eventually form an ember. Okay, I can feel now, I've gone through far enough that I can feel where the tip of the knife is just beginning to penetrate. That's a good place to stop. You know where to cut your groove now. So here's the hole, right? And on the opposite side, I can just barely feel right there that's where it's coming through. So I'm going to create a notch right there. Let's see, just so you can see it. This is awkward. This is not how I would do it normally. Bamboo's tough. So I'm just going to create the startings of a little notch, the beginning of a notch here. And it's to give the saw a place to start to ride over the hearth, the edge of the hearth that I prepared a minute ago. Whoops, that was close. I'm sorry you can't really see this. Just don't want to cut myself. Not really. Okay. This is nothing fancy. It's not super deep or anything like that. It's just a guide. So I'll let you see that now. So just a notch right here. Okay, and it's opposite the hole. That's it. We are pretty much ready to go. The last thing we need to do is put remember the 2 little tinder bundles I initially created? Put them on either side of the hole in this trough. 1 and 2. Okay, so they're now over the hole. And that strip of wood, the foreshadowing that I mentioned, here's that strip. Now it's going to go over the top of both of those to hold them in place. I'm going to hold them up with my thumbs. Okay, so now I'm holding those 2 pieces of tinder over the hole. The strip of wood is containing those tinder bundles, so they're not going to come out. And I'm not going to use my thumbs. If I were to use my thumbs, I could. I might be prone to pushing those bundles too hard. So this keeps me from doing that. So I'm going to be exerting a decent amount of force. When you ask, let's get to it. Yeah, we will. But this will keep me from compressing those tinder bundles too much and possibly snuffing out the coal before it's even started. Okay, so we got our larger tinder bundle prepared. We've got our knife edge on the hearth, and we've got our fire saw. So with this short piece, I'm going to just wedge it between me and this pine tree. A longer piece you could do to the ground or anything else that you could do to secure it. So this is pretty good. Now we want to find that notch on the bottom and align it with this edge that we created. I'm going to rotate this just a little bit so it's facing more up relative to the saw. And then at first you just want to find where that notch is. And kind of seat, you're trying to seat the 2 pieces together. You want them to mesh. You're not trying to accomplish anything in the way of a fire just yet. Okay, so I can feel that those are now integrated with each other pretty well. And so now I can do it. Now we're officially getting to the portion that you probably wanted to see from the start. All kinds of friction fires though. preparation is everything. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start that same motion that you saw just a moment ago. Seat the groove over the edge of the hearth. I'm going to start moving back and forth, applying some downward pressure. In my experience, I'll be able to smell the beginnings of just warm bamboo, I guess. And then the next thing that will happen is this edge that I'm rubbing against will turn sort of a light brown. And then probably we'll start to see a small bit of smoke. And this will start to turn darker brown, even approaching black. When we get to that point, I won't be able to speak. When we get to that point, I'll start furiously sawing back and forth. And what I'm trying to do is concentrate the action over the darkest point, the hottest point, where that dust is going to, well, this edge is going to start to burn essentially, and the dust will get pushed up through the saw into the hole we made and start forming a pile of dust. And as the heat increases, the hole kind of starts getting bigger too. Ideally, a coal will form in that pile of dust. And then I'll flip it over and blow, and we'll see if I've succeeded in making a coal. If I have, I'll try to transfer that coal to the larger timber bundle and blow it into flame. That's the plan. Here we go. Back and forth. Initially, not a lot of speed, not a lot of pressure. That's going to change rapidly. Okay, I can already smell a burning bamboo smell. And I can see a dark edge forming on the top. In fact, I'll pause and show you that. Why not? Can you see a brown edge forming along that edge? That's what we want. So next up will be some smoke, and that'll get darker. And then you'll see me spaz out, and hopefully that turns into a friction fire. All right, less talking, more sewing. All right, camera's probably not picking it up, but it's smoking now. Yeah, it's not, you probably can't see that. All right, it's smoking and the edges turn black, which means I need to start increasing the speed, increasing the pressure, increasing the amount of dust. All right, a lot of smoke. Now I'm localizing and going faster and harder. Now, it's a good sign. That is smoking on its own. It's a good sign that there's an ember in there. I'm going to flip it over. Give it a little air. It's easier to do on the ground. I just didn't set the camera up well. That is an ember. It's okay to let it coalesce at this point, form into more of a coal. Sorry. And then I'll transfer it to the larger timber bundle. But in theory, this is success right here. Okay. Because this is kind of delicate at the moment, I'm going to let it sit, coalesce, heat up. I'm going to put this over it, flip it over, and start blowing it into a coal. So as you can see, that's pretty fast. It's kind of vigorous at the end, so I'm a little winded. But relative to some other friction fire techniques, it's easy in terms of energy expenditure, I would say. All right, I'm going to put this over and try and get a flame. There we go. Here we go, Tom. Burning my fingers? Yo! So that, painstakingly, is how to create a friction fire using the bamboo fire saw. Thanks for watching.